Hello from the skies over the Atlantic. In this video, we'll be flying in business class aboard Lufthansa's Boeing 787-9 from Minneapolis to Frankfurt. We'll discuss Lufthansa and their current 787 situation, experience Lufthansa's new onboard service, and review their business class experience. Without further ado, let's get started. I had planned a trip to Japan and Hong Kong, but instead of traveling on United Airlines direct to Tokyo, I decided to try Lufthansa's business class on the Boeing 787 and economy on the 747. I flew Southwest Airlines to Chicago and then on to Minneapolis to catch my connection to Frankfurt. At the time, Lufthansa offered 4 weekly flights from Minneapolis to Frankfurt on various aircraft ranging from their Airbus A340 to the Boeing 787. Regrettably, Lufthansa will be discontinuing their entire mainline service on the Minneapolis to Frankfurt route, opting to replace service with their subsidiary, Eurowings Discover, with their Airbus A330. Lufthansa and soon Eurowings operate out of Terminal 1 at Minneapolis. Check-in desks for Lufthansa and their subsidiaries are located near the North Security Checkpoint. Using the Lufthansa app, I received my seat assignment and security documentation. Being a business class traveler and TSA PreCheck member, I had access to a dedicated line for security and there was virtually no wait at all. I'm thoroughly impressed by Lufthansa's app. It's clean, modern, and functional without being overbearing. A pleasure to use. You can change your seat assignments and get plenty of information regarding your flight. Once I passed through security, I had roughly an hour before my aircraft arrived and I used the opportunity to do some plane spotting. Here's a few clips. Once the aircraft arrived, Lufthansa's gate crew began performing passport checks. Our gate was situated in a somewhat small area, leading to a bit of crowding. This is also a good time to mention that the 787 fleet is in quite an interesting situation at Lufthansa. Currently, Lufthansa has 5 Boeing 787-9 aircraft in service. However, these aircraft were former whitetails destined for other carriers. This aircraft, along with Lufthansa's 4 other 787s, were originally slated to be delivered to Hainan Airlines or Vistara. These 5 Hainan and Vistara 787 aircraft are due to be transferred to Austrian Airlines, and the remaining 34 aircraft in order for the Lufthansa Group will enter the Lufthansa fleet. However, despite dozens of these 787 aircraft being completed and awaiting delivery, Lufthansa cannot take them due to certification delays. Lufthansa's long-awaited new Allegris cabins, specifically their business class cabins in this sense, have yet to receive FAA certification and thus cannot be used for paying passengers. The FAA has mentioned that the seats have not achieved crash test passing. Whether that means the seats have either failed their crash test or haven't taken their test yet is unclear. You may be wondering, Jordan, aren't there Allegris business seats flying right now on the Airbus A350? And you'd be absolutely correct, there are. However, the Airbus A350 seats are manufactured by Thomson Aero, whereas the Boeing 787 seats are manufactured by a different supplier, Collins Aerospace. In addition to different seat manufacturers, individual certification is necessary for each aircraft type. Collins Aerospace was vague in their comments about the situation, stating, "Collins continues to work closely with its OEM partners, customers, and regulators in support of the ongoing certification and delivery process, which gives little to no indication as to when these issues will be resolved." The situation is so dire that Lufthansa is considering taking delivery of the aircraft but blocking off business class entirely until certification. Collins seat issues are yet another stain on the whole Allegris program. Initially unveiled in 2017 with a planned entry into service date of 2020 on the Boeing 777X, both the aircraft and supplier side of Allegris have had a myriad of delays and problems. With unclear plans for the 747, Swiss Airbus A330s requiring extra weight ballast, and years-long delays, the Lufthansa's group new cabin efforts have been an unfortunate mess. Nevertheless, at the time of this video's creation, none of Lufthansa's 787 aircraft have Allegris and will continue to fly in their ex-Hainan or Vistara configurations. Unfortunately, these Allegris delays mean routes like this Minneapolis to Frankfurt one are being downgraded to Eurowings Discover with older Airbus A330s due to not having enough 787s in the fleet. Anyways, boarding soon began. Lufthansa boards in several groups, depending on your class and seat position. I was in Priority Group 2, reserved for business class, senators, and Star Alliance Gold card holders. Upon entering the aircraft, I was greeted by a friendly flight attendant who directed me to my seat. This ex-Hainan 787 features 26 Collins Aerospace Super Diamond seats arranged in a reverse herringbone pattern. I was seated in seat 6A on the left side of the aircraft. The seat was very spacious and comfortable, with plenty of legroom. Additionally, noise-canceling AKG headphones were provided in a storage compartment to my left. They were light and felt nice to wear, along with decent sound quality. Furthermore, there was plenty of storage locations to put my belongings. Universal AC and USB-A sockets were also available in several of the compartments, so all your devices could be charged. Wi-Fi is also provided on the flight, albeit at a price. Depending on the route and the amount of time you'd like to use the in-flight Wi-Fi, the price varies. There's also a small touchscreen to adjust your seat and other settings right next to your storage. Additionally, a small handheld controller is available, which allows you to control the screen from your seat without having to sit up or move. A Porsche design amenities kit was also provided on my right, featuring a toothbrush, toothpaste, lotion, and other toiletries. Pre-departure beverages and snacks were provided. Alcohol was offered, but I don't drink, so I opted for orange juice instead. The seat doesn't feature sliding doors for privacy, a feature the new Allegris cabins will have. However, I still felt decently enclosed and had a good sense of privacy. The cabin crew was incredibly kind and professional, addressing me by name for the entire flight. I'd also like to mention that Lufthansa is undergoing service changes in the hopes of improving their brand and returning to their once prestigious reputation. Throughout this flight and video, I'll highlight this further, but the cabin crew were wonderful during the pre-departure service. Boarding was fast and efficient. Once everyone was seated and situated, we pushed back from the gate on time and the safety video was shown.
The mask. Secure it by pulling the elastic strap over your head. Always fix your own mask first before helping others.
We then taxied to runway 30 left for departure. Let's watch. Soon after departure, the seatbelt sign was turned off. I was able to watch some gorgeous views of the sunset as I turned to the in-flight entertainment options. The 7.5 HD touchscreen display was very responsive and had good image quality. Lufthansa has a great selection of movies, TV shows, and music in multiple languages. There were plenty of films for me to watch on my flight, and I was plenty entertained. The Boeing 787 itself is also a great aircraft to fly long haul on. With electronically dimmable windows, I was able to make my area very dark while there was still light out, yet was still able to see outside. This, in addition to the lower 6,000 foot cabin pressure altitude, made the flight very comfortable and I felt very refreshed. The flight crew then came around to begin the dinner service. For my appetizer, I opted for seared scallop and cooked shrimp with sorbet sauce. A salad and bread were also provided. The food was hot and good, and the service was incredibly quick. Occasionally, I would ask for an extra piece of bread or condiment, and the cabin crew would quickly respond and give me plenty of options. The main offering was next. I chose the chicken breast with truffled Madeira sauce, rice risotto, zucchini, snow peas, and asparagus. The food was hot and outstanding. I actually almost burnt my tongue with how hot the food was. To highlight the crew once again, for dessert, the flight attendant noticed I was a little unsure what to pick, and she mentioned she could bring multiple offerings for me. I ended up opting for fresh fruit with chocolate flourless cake and marinated berries. I really appreciated the gesture, and it seemed like the crew really cared about us on a personal level. I then visited the lavatory before going to bed. The lavatory was clean and spacious, with a good bit of room. Different lotions, eye masks, and amenities were also provided within the lavatory. Even a window was provided, in case you would like to see outside during your time. I returned to my seat, lowered my bedding, and then finished my movies before falling to sleep for a few hours. The bed was comfortable with blankets that kept me warm and comfortable pillows. Also, the cabin crew came by one last time before we were going to sleep to ask if we'd like to be awoken for the breakfast meal service, a very nice gesture. As we approached Frankfurt, the breakfast service soon began. Hot towels were provided before the meal. I opted for sweet farro porridge with raisins, roasted pistachio, along with raspberry and orange segment. Different breads and orange juice were also provided. Once again, the food was great and the cabin crews were very quick yet professional with their service. After breakfast, the cabin crew then cleaned up the aircraft in preparation for our arrival. Before the flight crew took their seats, they came by and gave us little amenity kits and chocolates, and also thanked each and every one of us personally for our service in flying Lufthansa. I really appreciated this personal touch. It made it seem like the flight attendants genuinely cared about us and didn't view us as just a random passenger. We then began our descent and arrival into Frankfurt. Let's watch. The deboarding and exit process was simple and straightforward, with no lines or long waits at immigration and customs. I had a several-hour layover before my connection to Tokyo, so I exited the airport and took the train to visit the city. In conclusion, I had a wonderful experience in Lufthansa's business class on the Boeing 787-9. In one of my recent trip reports aboard Lufthansa's Boeing 747-8 and economy class to Tokyo, I said the experience was mediocre or average, given the aircraft had a dated product. However, as mentioned in the 747 video, the Lufthansa staff were consistently kind and went out of their way to serve me, and I experienced the same thing in business class on this trip. On separate occasion, Lufthansa has had kind, attentive, professional crew in both business class and economy class. If this is the new Lufthansa service that they're aiming for, then I'm a huge fan of it, and I certainly would go out of my way to fly Lufthansa business on their newer equipment. Although, that's a bit of a challenge due to a few A350s having Allegris and only 5 787s being in the fleet at the time of this video. If you do get a chance to fly in Lufthansa 787 in business, it's a wonderful experience. Assuming Allegris is equally as good, if not better, than these interim seats, then I think Lufthansa will certainly have a winner on their hands for long-haul premium travel with a winning cabin crew and seat product. I understand Lufthansa is a bit of a punching bag, especially with their cost-cutting and their older, dated equipment. However, with this level of service, and once new cabins retrofits finally get started, I'm confident and really looking forward to see what the airline is like in the future. On that note, thank you so much for watching. If you've ever flown Lufthansa or in their business class, I'd love to hear your comments. I read all the comments and try to respond whenever I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.